world problems. So when they graduate and enter the business world, they already have that experience.
When I joined Poole College, they helped me break out of my shell. They helped me gain better networking skills, and they actually showed me who I could become in the future. And that's why I would call them inspirational. Now I can do whatever I want and be whoever I want to be.
I think in all facets of what we're doing, whether it's the research with the faculty, the programming with the students, the teaching in the classroom, you really find individuals that are striving to be excellent in their work. And you just find that people care about doing excellent work, doing work that is innovative and thoughtful. And when you walk through the halls of Nelson Hall, people are invested in making sure that we're doing work that is meaningful and that is impactful.
People really try to help others succeed, because we know that if we work together, we're all going to succeed together. And that is something that is hard to replicate, and it's particularly unique to Poole College.
Poole College is eager to produce solutions that North Carolina and the world needs. And it shows in their constant investment in being part of the change.
What's unique about the Poole community is the fact that there's such a strong family environment. It is big and important that everybody gets along well and you have support in and outside of the classroom.
Immediately I could see the strength of the community itself and how people helped out each other and how people rejoiced in the success of others, and I think that was a big drawing factor for me.
Because of the ability to work on real-world issues and work with the business community while they're students, our alumni are much better equipped to start their careers.
I think that's what I'm really more excited about than anything else, is how the college is embracing change and trying to make sure that when students graduate, they'll have relevant skill sets to allow them to have successful careers.
In one of our marketing courses, we worked with a local co-op. In one of our supply chain and logistics courses, we worked with a local brewery. In another one of our marketing courses, we worked with a leadership development academy. I think that is pretty unique, and it's pretty fortunate that the Jenkins MBA program has all the relationships that they do.
So I think the think and do spirit is in every individual at Poole College, whether it is current students or faculty or even our alumni. Anytime we ask our alumni to do anything for us, they always go beyond, because they carry that think and do spirit beyond the time they spend at the college.
The focus we have on student internships, international opportunities, to really get our students out there in the real world, that to me is the do side of think and do.
On a day-to-day basis, I get to meet with students, hear what their goals are, hear what their interests are, and then make that a reality and let them have that experience around the world that is transformative to their own experience and to their own perspective.
We are helping create business leaders who are going to be able to lead their organizations in the most multicultural and plural world that we have ever experienced. And we're giving them the skills to be able to navigate that world.
I expect that we will continue to be nationally and internationally ranked. I expect that we will still be able to attract the best talent in our faculty. And I expect that that will draw the best students to Poole College.
Poole College is a special place. I should know, as I've been here for over 25 years. First as a professor, then as a department head, and now as dean. Here at Poole College, we know that our graduates will leave with the think and do spirit of NC State. Let's face it, that's just smart business. Please be seated. Good afternoon. I am Frank Buckles, Dean of the NC State Poole College of Management. On behalf of the entire college community, congratulations to you, the class of 2022, on this achievement. It is my pleasure to extend a warm Wolfpack welcome to you and your family and friends here today for the Poole College of Management's May 2022 commencement ceremony. I know this is a big day for all of you, a moment for you to celebrate your hard work and achievements, and a time for you to look forward with excitement towards your future, whether that's the beginning of a promising career, additional education, or adventures that take you to locations near and far. This is also a special time for your family and friends, those who have supported you as you move through your studies to achieve your goals. At this time, will the family members and friends of our graduates please stand so that we can show you our appreciation for what you have done to make today a reality. Earlier this morning, at the university ceremony, many of you joined the NC State community where we officially acknowledged you by the university. We now come together as a college community to recognize you each with your achievements. This is an especially meaningful time for all of the faculty and staff who have worked with you throughout your academic careers. This is a joyous time for us as we witness your official transition from student to alumni of the Poole College of Management. We are very proud of what you have accomplished. I speak for all my colleagues when I say that being a part of your NC State experience motivates all of us to be even more impactful teachers and scholars. At Poole College, we are fortunate to be part of a community that celebrates excellence, innovation, inclusion, and ethical decision-making to address the challenges and opportunities of our world through our collective talents, strengths, and experiences. You graduate today from Poole College armed with a world-class education, critical analysis skills, and an entrepreneurial approach to addressing our world's challenges and opportunities. I know through you, we can and will achieve the extraordinary. After you cross the stage today, you will receive your official Poole College of Management pin. This pin represents your accomplishments as a student and recognition to all the college graduates who have preceded you, as well as those who will follow. We have established a tradition of applying this pin for the first time during this commencement ceremony. So when you receive your pin, please go ahead and attach it to your robe and wear it with pride. I am now honored to introduce our industry speaker, Brian Rigsby, who is currently the Chief Financial Officer of Myriad Genetics. Brian joined Myriad Genetics, a molecular diagnostics company, in 2014 to assist the organization in continuously working towards understanding the role of genes and proteins play in the onset and progression and treatment of diseases. Prior to this role, he served 10 years with Laboratory Corporation of America, most of us know it as LabCorp, where he was most recent position was Senior Vice President of Corporate Finance with responsibility for financial planning and analysis and treasury functions. Brian received his Bachelor of Arts in Accounting from Poole College in 1994 and a Bachelor of Arts in Political Science from the University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill. Additionally, he earned a Master's of Business Administration from Northwestern University. Brian also is a certified public accountant in the state of North Carolina. So please welcome Brian Rigsby.
Good afternoon. Thank you, Dean Buckles, for the kind introduction. And thank you to the Poole College graduating class, faculty, staff, parents, and guests for allowing me the opportunity today. It's hard to believe that it was almost 30 years ago that I sat in your chair. I remember it like it was yesterday. it was a really hot May afternoon in Reynolds Coliseum, and the lack of air conditioning likely made me more anxious for it to be over than you are right now. I know you are all ready to get started with your post-college life, but before you do, I would like to share a few thoughts as I reflect on my career. First, I can't stress enough what an advantage you have as Poole College alums. I have degrees from 3 universities, each are distinguished in their own way. Each provided a top-notch education from an outstanding faculty, and each played a unique role in my life and development. I would not trade any of these experiences or choose any other path. What I will say is that my time here in Raleigh shaped my life more than any other place. Over the last few years, I have been fortunate to reconnect with many of my former teachers at NC State and realized how much they truly cared about me and my path in life. Dean Buckless was my auditing professor. Professor Branson taught me financial accounting. Professor Williams taught me managerial accounting. And I could go on and on naming more individuals that taught me so much. I don't do this to emphasize how young they must have been at the time, but rather to emphasize that their impact on me was profound. As you leave NC State, take some time to reflect on those who have shared their knowledge with you and appreciate the truly amazing group of people that are a part of this program. When I was asked to speak today, I thought a lot about what I could say that might be helpful to you. I don't know that I have ever spent as much time reflecting on my life and career. It was time well spent for me. I hope my words are valuable to you. My first thought was that while I know many of you have already decided on the first step in your career journey, my advice to you all would be to not get too focused on specific jobs or titles or even compensation. Instead, seek experiences that will help you to grow and progress towards your ultimate career and life goals. I started my career in 1994. It was the year Nirvana frontman Kurt Cobain passed away. The figure skating saga between Tonya Harding and Nancy Kerrigan was in the news, and Nelson Mandela was officially sworn in as the first black president of South Africa. Of course, it was before most of this graduating class was born, which seems incredible to me and a bit humbling. But I'm brought back to the moment because I did not have a clue about where I wanted to be or what my goal was. I never had an internship. The internet was not a thing at that time. I was far less knowledgeable about the world than you are. As I interviewed for a job with a Big Six accounting firm, for me, it was more about the opportunity to be exposed to work across numerous industries. It gave me the opportunity to see and do more earlier in my career journey. I took a role, and it was all about experiences as I left public accounting and joined GE in commercial finance and energy businesses. Fast forwarding 10 years, I got a call from the CFO of LabCorp, where I was working at the time, asking if I would be interested in an assignment in Canada. I immediately said yes. In hindsight, I probably would have been well served to have discussed this a little more with my wife, Erin, but fortunately, she loves a great life experience as much as I do and was fully on board. My point is that your career is a marathon, not a sprint. Always keep the end goal in mind while knowing that getting there is not a straight line. One of the great advantages of being where you are today is that you have plenty of time to make mistakes. If you're like me, you've made plenty. That's okay. Learn from them. When you seek out experiences first, it will be fulfilling and rewarding. Here's the second point that I want to leave you with. When you are moving through your career, choose to work with great leaders and good people. It will make you a better person and ultimately a better leader yourself. In my career, I've basically worked for 4 companies. Today, the average person changes jobs about 12 times in their lifetime. So you're likely to have 3 times the experiences that I did. But one of the reasons that I have not moved as much is that I have prioritized working with people that I respect and that respect me. I stayed at LabCorp for 10 years. I stayed because I worked for one of the best people I've ever known, all things that make a great place to work. My current CEO at Myriad is the best leader and person that I have worked for yet. While we are focused on executing our plan, he has the uncommon ability to always keep the right perspective and stay focused on what is important for the patients we serve, the teammates that we work with, and the shareholders who place their trust in us. So the second point after choosing experiences is to align with great people. It not only makes your work more rewarding, but your life so much more enjoyable. I mentioned earlier that I have 3 degrees. I love learning and I love school. I would love to go back to school. My joke with my children is that I plan to go to college with them, and I'm only half kidding. When I was almost 40, I decided that I wanted to go back to school to pursue an MBA. I couldn't afford to quit work, so I chose to pursue an executive MBA on the weekends. After a lot of research, I decided on Northwestern University's Kellogg School of Management, a great school. But in addition to the school itself, what was most important to me were the students in my cohort. They were from all over the world. They had diverse backgrounds and different viewpoints. I probably learned more from them than I did from the curriculum itself. My point is to never stop learning and always keep listening to others. I recently read some commentary from Mark Cuban, the owner of the Dallas Mavericks, that stuck with me. Whenever he goes into a meeting, the first thing he does is write one word at the top of the paper, and that word is listen. He said, "I recognize that learning was truly a skill, and by continuing to learn to this day, I'm able to compete and keep up and get ahead of most people. All of this by listening. When you do this and keep a learning mindset, there's no question you will accomplish more." Finally, define for yourself what success looks like. Decide what it means to you and why it's important. Your path is your own. You and no one else can set the measurement of success. When you are happy and feel a sense of accomplishment, that's what matters. I've read that the thing that makes people most happy in their work and in life is having a true sense that what they do matters. The work that I do plays a small role in our company's mission, but it's important, and I always keep in mind that we deliver vital insights to patients every day that can change their lives. For the person that is suffering from depression or has cancer, our testing delivers a result that may help their physician to get them on the right medication or select the right treatment. I never lose sight of the fact that the results we deliver are improving health and well-being for millions of people. That is the reason we do what we do, and nothing else is more important than that. So find what fulfills you and makes you happy, and you will find success. And now we come to the favorite part of most speeches, especially commencement speeches, where the speaker says, "One last point before I wrap up." And mine is one that involves a time at NC State that has stayed with me throughout my life. In our final class, it wasn't an exam or a grade that I remember, but rather an unexpected poem by a teacher named C.J. Skender shared during our final CPA prep session. C.J. no longer teaches at NC State, but he was truly an example of the kind of instructor who was passionate about his work and cared about his students. I had the feeling that beyond his love of music, there was nothing he was more passionate about than working a cash flow statement on the chalkboard. During our last session together, as he sent us off to take the CPA exam, he read the following poem by S.H. Payer, and we each received a copy. Many that know me well know that I am not an extremely sentimental person by nature. I don't hold on to too many things, but for many years I have held on to that copy of that poem, and from time to time I will pull it out and read it to keep a perspective on life. It goes as follows. Live each day to the fullest. Get the most from each hour, each day, and each age of your life. Then you can look forward with confidence and back without regrets. Be yourself, but be your best self. Dare to be different and follow your own star. Don't be afraid to be happy and know what is beautiful. Love with all your heart and soul. Believe that those you love you. When you are faced with a decision, make that decision as wisely as possible and then forget it. The moment of absolute certainty never arrives. Above all, remember that God helps those who help themselves. Act as if everything depended on you and pray as if everything depended on God. As you leave here today, I wish you nothing but the best in life. Good luck and go Pack. Thank you.
Thank you, Brian, for those inspirational remarks. It is now time to introduce a fellow Poole graduate. We have a tradition here at Poole College for one of our commencement addresses to be delivered by one of your peers. Your commencement speaker today is Thomas Prince. Thomas will be graduating with a Bachelor of Science in Business Administration with a concentration in finance and a Bachelor of Science in accounting. Thomas was involved in the Finance Club, Beta Gamma Sigma Honor Society, and Phi Kappa Phi Honor Society during his time in Poole. He also served as the President, Managing Director, and Senior Vice President of Strategy of Bell Tower Capital Management, a student-led investment organization. Thomas held various internship and assistant positions during his academic career, including teaching assistant for MIE 305, Legal and Regulatory Environment, corporate banking summer analyst with Regions Bank in Charlotte, investment intern with the NC State Office of Investments, and a finance intern with Capital Investment Companies in Raleigh. Following graduation, Thomas will be headed to Charlotte, returning to Regions Bank for a full-time position as a corporate investment banking analyst in their Diversified Industries Group. So please welcome Thomas to the stage.
Thank you, Dean Buckless, and thank you, Poole College of Management, for granting me the honor of representing the class of 2022. Looking back on the last 4 years, or hey, maybe 5 or 6 for some of us, there's certainly nothing wrong with that, I'm reminded of the old Grateful Dead lyric, "What a long, strange trip it's been." And it certainly has been. We've seen highs and lows, ups and downs, good times and bad. We've traversed pandemics and recessions, spent all-nighters cramming for exams, and hey, if we made it here, that means we passed. Things haven't always been easy, but then again, the good things rarely are. To borrow a quote from our very own Dave Doran, NC State is a work ethic, blue-collar, hands-in-the-dirt school. It was founded by tough people, and that's who we continue to be. And he's right. Being an NC State alumni means we're not afraid to roll up our sleeves to get the job done. Now, I don't know what that job might look like for anyone in particular, but as NC State alumni, we are tasked with rolling up our sleeves to put the motto, think and do, into practice. I'm a firm believer that you can't walk through the doors of Nelson Hall for even a short period of time without leaving better learned than you entered. I know I sure have. We graduates have done a lot of thinking about who we are, about what we want to be, and how to make NC State fit into that plan. We've grown, and all of that learning and growth brings us to today, commencement. We graduates ought to be really proud of what we've accomplished, and we also owe a huge, resounding thank you to all of the friends, family, significant others, professors, mentors, and everyone else who's helped us along the way. But the music does not stop now. You will wake up tomorrow just the same as you did today, only as an NC State alum. Poole College of Management has given us a top-tier education. The statistics speak for themselves. But some of the best learning opportunities that I've had have come from the people that I've met or the opportunities that I've been blessed to have during my time here at NC State. As we enter into the next great era of our lives, I'd like to pass along a few pieces of wisdom that I've learned along the way from meeting these people and having these experiences that not only help us think, but also think and do, carrying out the charge of being an NC State alum with both authenticity and action. I once had the honor of attending a meeting with the board of directors for NC State's investment manager, and I was speaking with one member in particular who grew up around some influential people. This type of one-on-one meeting was a pretty rare occurrence for me, so I decided to listen closely. If for anything else, at least for a good story. At a party, she observed from across the room a prominent member of the Rockefeller family enter and exit the restroom. Her father turned to her and said, "You see that? They do it just like everybody else." And how true is that? When all is said and done, We're only human. Power, rank, and position, while important and respectable in their own right, don't change this common tie of humanity. I would go as far as to say that nothing could erode this common tie, so we might as well try to treat each other as we wish to be treated ourselves. This golden rule, as it's sometimes referred to, requires us to treat others with authenticity. Authenticity is a commitment to being true in yourself and your relationships to others. It costs you nothing, yet gains you one of the most difficult things to earn in this life, and that is trust and respect. When you're true to yourself and to others, you not only gain a greater trust in your own decision making, but others trust you as well. I've found that when you trust yourself and you do what you know is right, only then can you realize your true potential. Instead of letting others dictate what's best for you, you take control of your own actions. The world is a bit of a wild place right now, so I find myself turning to another piece of sage advice that falls right in line with authenticity. And that is, the most powerful thing that we can change is the way we act, with what we do. When we realize this concept and begin to treat ourselves and others honestly, it's refreshing. In this ever-changing world where we never know what the next day might look like, the easiest and most meaningful thing that we can contribute to society is our authenticity. Now, we talked a little bit about authenticity, but I also mentioned our think and do motto. And one of the biggest parts of that is not only think, but also do. And then, by extension of doing, to be. I'm reminded of a short book that I read a few years ago, written by the late Kell Landis, who was a very successful banker and local investor. Now, for those of you who know me, don't worry. It's not a finance book. I'm not going to put you to sleep with that today. It's actually called The Little Book of Do. As Kell says, what separates success, however we define it, like we just heard, is this omnipresent sense of do. While Mr. Landis did graduate from a neighboring Triangle institution, I feel his advice is still certainly worth considering amongst us think and doers. Now, I know that I'm one of the only things that stands between you, your diploma, and your lunch reservation, so I'll give you the Cliff Notes version. We wake up in the morning with a choice to do whatever matters the most or the least to us. We do in our personal lives, we do with our friends, family, or coworkers, and we may even do with the world. Famed actor and director Woody Allen is attributed with saying that 80% of success is just showing up. Moving forward on our journey toward success is largely a function of saying, I'm going to make this happen. Or in other words, I'm going to have a do mindset. I'm not saying that this journey will be easy. Many times doing doesn't work on the first go around. But the beauty of our think and do motto is that it's a self-correcting cycle. We think, we do, but while doing, we still think, and then do again, either the same or differently. We think, we do, see what's reasonable, shift our focus, and then, by doing, we achieve. By the process of doing, we become. We graduates have done plenty of thinking, but you could really say we've just been thinking and doing as good NC State students should have. There still remains plenty of think and do ahead. I began this morning, or afternoon at this point, by talking about a long, strange trip that we've all been on for several years, and who better to ask about what the next stop on such a trip might look like, except for the folks that have come before us. In his book, Leadership 101, John Maxwell recounts a survey of 95-year-olds who were asked, after a life well lived, what do you regret? And 3 of these regrets stand out. Number 1, they would have taken more time to reflect. They would have done more thinking. Number 2, they would have taken more risk by doing. And number 3, they would have done more to build a legacy, the tangible, realizable product of doing. If you ask this group of seasoned life professionals what our motto should be, they might suggest think and do and be. And I agree. Think, do, and be authentic. So what are we waiting for? The next leg of our journey is fast approaching. And for some of us, it might be waiting out in the parking lot when we leave the arena today. The bags are packed, the car is warmed up, and we've got some good advice to help get us out onto the road. Won't you join me?
It's time to leave it all behind. It's time to pick up the pieces of my scattered mind. After all my petals fall, I can finally find beauty beneath once and for all. I've spent way too long judging myself, running from truth into someone else's arms, but I'm done. The battle's begun, the battle's begun. There's fire in me, deep down in my veins, these clouds in my head, they're not gonna rain. There's fight in my heart, there's hope in my eyes, there's hope in my eyes. Oh, I push to the limits, I climb every wall, I keep on believing anything's possible. I run till I'm breathless, I stand 10 feet tall, I keep on believing anything is possible. Oh, anything is possible. Anything is possible. It's time to crack the open door. Time to leave every teardrop on the bathroom floor. And if I'm scared, I'll go in scared. I've got nothing to lose, it's only up from here. I've spent way too long judging myself, running from truth into someone else's arms, but I'm done. The battle's begun, the battle's begun. And there's oceans in me just pounding away, but I kinda like the wind in my face. The water is deep, but I'm not afraid. No, I'm not afraid. I push to the limits, I climb every wall, I keep on believing anything's possible. I run till I'm breathless, I stand 10 feet tall, I keep on believing anything's possible. Anything's possible. Anything is possible. where the night is all around me. But in the dark, the stars, they find me. I'm here. Whoa, whoa, whoa. I'm gonna push to the limits. I climb every wall. I keep on believing anything is possible. Anything is possible.
Good afternoon. I'm Vikas Anand, Associate Dean for Academic Programs in the Poole College of Management. At this time, I want to acknowledge our Poole College of Management team members who have made this event possible. Please join me in expressing our appreciation for all their efforts. Now it is time to present the graduates of NC State's Poole College of Management. Today, the Poole College of Management confers 3 doctoral degrees, 218 master's degrees, and 765 bachelor's degrees. Congratulations to all our Poole College graduates. Before we begin presenting the graduates, I have a few logistics requests. Each of you will be presented individually by an academic program. We ask that family and friends please remain seated during the presentation ceremony. A professional photographer will photograph each graduate as they cross the stage. You will be notified via email when these photos are available. At the conclusion of the ceremony, immediately following the faculty recessional, the academic program flags will be moved to the main concourse. The flags will be arranged in front of a section of the original hardwood floor from Reynolds Coliseum. We encourage you to take photos with your families and friends in front of this backdrop. Again, this will be on the main concourse by the east entrance. Now let us begin the presentation of our graduates. We will begin with the Jenkins graduate programs. On behalf of the Jenkins graduate programs, I congratulate all the graduates whose accomplishments we celebrate today. Jenkins offers multiple graduate degrees, a doctoral degree in economics, and master's degrees in economics, accounting, business administration, and management. At our Jenkins graduate hooding ceremony this past Thursday evening, we proudly honored the 221 students who received their graduate degrees today. At that ceremony, each graduate was recognized individually. Today, I would like to ask all Jenkins graduates present to stand to be collectively recognized. Congratulations again to you on your achievements. You may be seated. I now ask that Dr. Ted Zato, Assistant Dean of Undergrad Programs, come forward.
Thank you. The Poole College of Management awards degrees to undergraduate students in 3 academic disciplines: accounting, business administration, and economics. I am proud to announce that 765 undergraduate students will receive their degrees today. Congratulations, Poole graduates. We will begin with our undergraduate accounting degree recipients.
I'm Kathy Krasik, Chair of the Department of Accounting. On behalf of the faculty in the Department of Accounting, congratulations to our graduates. Jenny D'Arienzo and Dr. Paul Williams will present the Bachelor of Science in Accounting graduates. Will the accounting graduates please come forward?
Madison Lynn Dockery.
Isabel Marie Cordes.
Sarah Elizabeth Freeman.
Spencer Scott Pierce.
Ryan Bianco.
Jackson Cordell Beck.
Tyler Scott Counts.
John Lewis III.
Matthew James Rayner.
Mason John Randall Matthews.
Adam Williams Mays.
Jared T. Shore.
Jack Homestead.
Matt Edel.
Virginia Grace White.
Alexander Emery Hodgins.
Owen Richard Fellman.
Thomas Wayne Prince III.
Carson Nicole Harris.
Taylor Alexandra Horniak.
Noah Allen Bullock.
Nathan John Batoon Ua.
Jared Wilson Gainey.
Mohammed Hassan Tahir.
Jordan Isaiah Wyke.
Jacob A. Childers.
Aja Fatua Andre Dia.
Emma Marie Piscatelli.
Catherine Elena Lee Sidden.
Alejandro Zacharias Resendez.
Courtney Lynn Stone.
Whitley Ellen Letchworth.
Caitlin Grace Moss.
William Henry Lee.
Owen Henry Salmon.
Juliet Lee.
Nathan James Olja.
Grace Elizabeth Anthony.
Michael Brian McKnight.
Michael Sefik.
Ariel Reese Williams.
Kimball Len Midget.
Jamie Lynn Porter.
Catherine Merritt Lemley.
Joseph Robert Greenland.
John Randall Albright.
Samuel Joseph Bisecker.
Lila Suhail Kasem.
Marketa Sykorova.
Megan Marie Morrissey.
Sarah Gabrielle Karp.
Lauren Suzanne Fraser.
Jake Walter Patrio.
Shishin Fu.
Zachary Campbell Soufflo.
I got yours here. Go ahead. Marina Lynn E. Gerg.
Ashley Morgan Davis.
Riley Grace Harris.
Tyler James Izell.
Darius Tivon Walton.
Miles Hero Smith.
William Bryce Davis.
William Noah Taylor.
Cameron Maloney.
Catherine Dawn Jones.
Jenna Morgan Bodenheimer.
Callie Amia Maxfield Davis.
Juan Manuel Mancernas Mantalongo.
Rachel Veronica Schneider.
Claire Mackenzie Register.
Abigail Meyer.
Megan Hurley.
Jack Theodore Pugh.
Luke McKenzie.
Catherine Elizabeth Motzinger.
Ian Arthur Smith.
Evan Scott Stern.
Matthew C. Wildman.
Samantha Lauren Byrne.
Amber Nicole Usry.
Rosalie Sue.
Michelle Van.
Akash Kamlesh Desai.
Jessica Ann Hood.
Arman Kucheki.
Noah C. King.
Sarah Delea Siddiqui.
Harrison John Ryder.
Lujane Kati Akia.
Hello, I am John Carr, Chair of the Management, Innovation, and Entrepreneurship Department. The Business Administration degree is jointly offered by the Department of Business Management and the Department of Management, Innovation, and Entrepreneurship. On behalf of the faculty of both departments, congratulations to all our graduates. Faculty members, Dr. Carlin Mitchell and Dr. Basiru Usman, will present the Bachelor of Science in Business Administration graduates. Will the Business Administration graduates please come forward?
Henry Huhan.
Ian Ellen Absi.
Nicholas McKay Crisp.
Matthew Fields.
Jake Riley Cook.
Tyler Barnes.
Nishada Perry.
Jordan Robert Lorio.
Jenna Marie Comley.
Keaton Lee Williams.
Sahit Reddy Kamham.
Anish Balaji Darastati.
Naga Ganesh Mumundvi.
Camille.
Junie Tsai.
Madeline Jane Stafford.
Ethan Robert Ray.
Thomas Wayne Prince III.
George Stavros Lakakos.
Matthew Howard Hems.
Seth Alexander Van Dyke.
Matthew Williams Lee.
Taylor Augusta Hartis.
Jackson Wade Broderford.
Stephen Robert Wilkinson.
Marcus John Higgins.
Carter Wesley Hampton Hips.
Samuel David.
Jack Woods Mallory.
Samuel Philip.
Jackson Logan Mulbrake.
Cameron Marcus Johnson.
Raymond Joseph Doran.
Sarah Christina Adams.
Shavani Sanjay Bashmi.
Erin Kenny.
Jade Alisa Parchment.
Regan Hassan.
Alyssa McKinlock.
John Tyler Willis.
Lauren Elizabeth Salter.
Parker Myers.
Gavin Robert Sokolinski.
Mong Thang.
Jacob L. Sawyer.
Ashley Avery Hiss.
Cindy Yasina Darren Herrera.
Jonathan Kethu Spare.
Brian Zhang.
Nicholas Bryce Ferguson.
Paige Elizabeth Gordon.
David Kratz.
Meredith Riley Keever.
Alexis Nicole Mallis.
Anna Roberts Zerdzinski.
Regina Elizabeth Lavelle.
Eli Franklin Miller.
James Austin Helton.
Jake Douglas Passy.
Blake Spencer Goulet.
Matthew Cole Gambrell.
Caroline Toy Bean.
Avery Faith Jackson.
Margaret Clark Hushok.
Elizabeth Ann Burkett.
Grace Clairpop.
Courtney Lane Puckett.
Marissa Nicole Evans.
Nina Melissa Van Poppering.
Nicole Alton Light.
Lydia Murphy.
Luke Anthony Walova.
Tyler Robert Schockner.
Brock Wesley Pila.
Tulsi Thacker.
Alexandra Lang.
Allison Grace Gawley.
Christopher Jordan Green.
Fatima Ashnin.
Madeline Ryan Williams.
Wesley Shade.
Joshua Gray Hudson.
Isabella Noel Morgan.
Kathleen Blanca Marador.
Makia Rochelle Covington.
Carrie Sanford Ivy.
John Augustus Durner.
Samantha Noyola.
Camila Izeta Vasquez.
Gray Isaac Emberlin.
Indy Emil Sherry.
James Robert Stevenson.
Michael Aaron Desmuke.
Brian Joseph Bell.
Christopher Michael McDonough.
Benjamin Slowey.
Charles Christopher Caraway.
John Watson Bruce.
Joseph Michael Davis.
Olivia Grace Cooper.
William Booker.
Sebastian Michael Cunningham.
Nicholas Keith Winter.
Nikhil Raj Kete.
Kunj Kanjia.
David Walker Lapasha.
Alexander York Peoples.
Elizabeth Bomier.
Garrett Robert Watkins.
Brevin Winfield Orell.
Peter Arksisowski.
Bradley Thomas.
Kevin Michael O'Brien.
Grant Spencer Simpson.
Davis Antonio Murphy.
Adam Scott Needles.
Ryan Henry Miceli.
Logan Wilford Halas.
Stephen Ross Schulman.
William Cameron McCoy.
Jacob Douglas Schmidt.
Melissa Marie Geppo.
Emma Nicole Belicki.
Dawson Stewart Goodit.
Carmen Victoria Pertley.
Tessa Grace Hansen.
Alex Lewis Hunter.
Tana James Alford.
Logan Andrew Spell.
Matthew Donald Castiles.
Benjamin James Geiger.
Christopher Jordan Silva.
Mark Albert.
Biley Robert O'Connor.
Dean Gabriel Bettanzoli.
John Franklin Hughes.
Evan Douglas Housey.
Braden John Sianeman.
James Curtis Brown.
Griffin Seashire.
Carson Mackenzie Armstrong.
Eva Brooke Farrell.
Stony Alexander Hall.
Maximilian Alexandra Hellebrand IV.
Alexis Pashika.
Candace B. Borden.
Emma Cosetta Francis.
Ricardo Jose Herrera.
David Alexander Dillon.
William Harrison Bonds.
Bobby Samuel Stutz.
Matthew Gregory Horan.
Cameron Thomas Bean.
Emma McLaughlin.
Madeline Ann Shulin Baccarella.
Ellie Britton.
Philip Ainsworth Stevens.
Stephen Milton Holloman.
Landon Darrell Bandy.
Logan Thomas Lulu.
Catherine Sheridan Cook.
Yash Patel.
Sade Jalen Gwynn Proctor.
William Han Snyder.
Kobe David Langston.
Ansley Paris.
Alexandra Rose Furman.
Brendan Tyler Coleman.
Sarah Ann Gluck.
Lauren Elizabeth Hudley.
Grayson Watson Rosas.
Yuki Lee.
William Thomas King.
Oliver Jackson Harper.
Olivia Grace Halferty.
Michael Humpitello.
James William Denny.
Clark Henderson Kistler.
Thomas Martin.
William Martin.
Myers Smith Martin.
Brendan Michael Chase.
Milan Pavlovic.
Lava Dietrich Ballard Jr.
Robert Allen Rayner III.
Allison Page Stonger.
Renee A. Flores.
Carly Joe Crabtree.
Vincent Luca Natachona.
Nicholas Vincent Free.
Catherine Elizabeth Cunningham.
Candela Maria Goldstein.
Aaron Ross McCarthy.
Kathleen Ann Russell.
Morgan Ashley Davis.
Juliana Mary Balik.
Christian Anthony Spiona.
Jacqueline Joy McVeigh.
Isabella Christine Dyson.
Caleb Michael Corner.
Thomas Jeffrey Agather.
William Eric Allen.
Caleb Edward White.
Christopher Cameron Stalin Hammock.
Andrew Jonathan Brannon.
Jonathan Luke Wooten.
Cyrus Franklin Watson.
Brandon Harris.
Bailey Page Thomas.
Dua Nidal Hassan.
Suzanne Haymud Awamle.
Sina Arafat.
Jackson Patrick Sherrill.
Jordan Scott Fulbright.
Calvin Hillier Nelson.
Muhammad B. Ado.
Ahli Mohammed Hida.
Teresa Maya Waliseski.
Zach Sikorsky.
Reagan F. Nylon.
Lindsay Annette Denny.
Nicholas Emery Smith.
Amy Catherine McGugan.
Grace Elizabeth Kaiser.
Samantha Marie Staley Fallon.
Michaela Nicole Brown.
Jamie Sprague.
Juliana Ortega McKenzie.
Brandon Michael Herrera.
Sophia Rose Bro.
Daniel Emilio Juarez.
Ariana Nicole Dolikani.
Parker Elizabeth McLaughlin.
Matthew Cameron Mack.
Rachel Lee Ratliff.
Faizan Ali.
Nicholas Howell Hornsby.
Kara Rose Stewart.
Carly Beatrice Utsish.
Jacob Thomas Gilliam.
Anthony Medeiros.
Andrew Mede Brichu.
Emily Lauren Lucier.
Colin Joseph Kotek.
Hunter Douglas Dombrowski.
Kennedy Grace Scott.
John Parker Pearsall.
Jason Antonio Jones.
Sarah Elizabeth Harris.
Tahzeen Sohaila Alam.
Hunter Mills McKinney.
George Michael Haddad.
Alice McNanny.
Nathan Grayson Harris.
Brendan Tyler Huss.
Sagar Sandeep Patel.
Jonah K. Whitman.
Juan Carlos Cavanillas.
Riley Whitsitt.
Morgan Ashley Rogers.
Anthony Michael Pensini.
Tara Suzette Conley.
Lucas Ray Sloan.
Haley Elizabeth Beal.
Jack Preston Allen.
Samuel Douglas Holloman.
Brandon A. Fiesel.
Madeline Nicole Solomon.
Mia Ann Dina.
Kylie Gerard.
Emily Blake Kennedy.
Emilia Rel Anderson.
Hannah Malloy Hughes.
Olivia Grace Carlson.
Grace Elizabeth Loizo.
Yushan Chen.
Ashley Brianna Morgan.
Rene Lasalle Besset.
Victoria Eileen Maley.
Lauren Elizabeth Diffret.
Andrew Michael Welsh.
Christian Sammy Huey.
Soham Singh.
James Jakubowski.
Sullivan Ryan Campbell.
Brian John Montoya.
Abigail Mackenzie Page.
Carson Harry.
Rosul Adhikari.
Sydney Lauren Russian.
Jesse Pendleton.
Paul Jacob Gypsy. Ripsy.
Eric J. Peterson.
Jackson Timothy Aube.
Casey Scott Rhodes.
Tazawell Adams Steed.
Cameron Cooper Willis.
Wesley Montalvo Sodas.
Jordan Alexander Hammock.
Jace Anders Larson.
Harrison Robert Shaw.
Spencer Ryan Hicks.
Joshua Covington Marsalic.
Michael Ben Sanguli.
Kairil Sahonenko.
Jonathan Faneda.
Theo Tony Dremsivzov.
Joseph Hunter Veneto.
Benjamin Reed Lisk.
William Kenneth Brown.
Ian Montgomery Johnson.
James Radford Sides.
Logan Michael Shoup.
Richard Peyton Stone.
Justin Davis Rogers.
Tyler AJ.
Royce McConico Ratcliffe.
Neil Mahadulin.
Rocco DeSoja.
Brian Wheelang Chan.
Amy June Murdoch.
Sophia Elizabeth Hanson.
Madalena Olivia Smith.
Curtis Scott Wiltsey.
Zachary Brown.
Tyler Alexandra Horn.
Grace Kathleen Henning.
Caroline Kunkel.
Michael John Smith.
Peter Stephen Brazil.
Brock Dallas Coffey.
Rachel Marie Lee.
Aya Al-Jabari.
Riam Alexia.
Shauna George.
Amy Rose Menhuncheri.
Kriti Vayash.
Eman Azam.
Zara Lubaina Rangwala.
Julia Butler.
Michael Wesley Edwards.
Matthew Thomas Elliott.
Hamaz Ahmad Jaber.
Ravi Nalesh Dev.
Madison Hammonds.
Haley Nicole Flowers.
Zane Stallings Moonshine.
Lauren Nicole Chevrolet.
Haley Elizabeth Robertson.
Adams Alexandra Winfrey.
Brad Vaughn Cornell.
Zachary Clay Thomas.
Parker Joseph Zarek.
James Eric Todd.
Mackenzie Merritt Logan.
Logan Michael Conway.
Nicholas Eldo Bach.
Camille Maureen.
Thomas Escobedo.
Fanny Diana Priscilla.
Juan Baptiste Alexandra Francesco Marie Jarrett.
Samantha Allison.
Chloe Danielle Monique Triolet.
Alice LaPrince.
Quentin Vincent Sarah.
Ferre Le Grand Valet.
Thomas Terry Bonte.
Hector Gabriel Bonla.
Christian Marie Dyson.
Caroline Elizabeth McCoon.
Karin Gupta.
Camille Tosh.
Pauline Louise Robert.
Divak P. Patel.
Vanessa Sullivan Close.
Sarah Elizabeth Jones.
River Tomas Young.
Tina Osborg.
Justice Kajas Boyok.
Little Marlene Strobel.
Simon Pascal Nagel.
Somya Varma.
Robert Michael Elamsian.
Emma Leslie Tyler.
Savannah Lynn Puryear.
Jonathan J. Zalada.
Nicole Ashley Buxbaum.
Samira Ratna Akinna.
Kayla Blake Atkins.
Adriana Josette Abreu.
Sarah Gracelyn Kitchings.
London Elizabeth Brooks.
Avery Allison DiMaggio.
Katie Sanyoda.
Zoe Bell Britton.
Alison Christine First.
Lauren Madison Ingersoll.
Jake Harper Hinsman.
William Avery Schwartz.
Robert Punston.
Rachel Anastasia Finn.
Elise Mary Harmon.
Elizabeth Grace Stalcup.
Samantha Nicole Wilson.
Grace Bynum Marshall.
Camille Moye Edwards.
Peyton Caddy Piscork.
Olivia Rose Hillman.
Grace Ann DiGiuseppe.
Cian Patrick Brenman.
Like, no, don't go yet. I know, but catching up with the. This is Sean. Sean's right now. Now go ahead.
Haynes Patterson Ratcliffe.
Grant William Miller.
Oh yeah, send them right up. And then we'll
Ethan
time it this way.
Christopher Little.
Margaret Rose Knowles.
Warren Javon McClure.
Your card's gonna go to
Zachary Lee Perry.
Peyton L. Price.
Mackenzie Anna Crowder.
Alexander Thomas Blanton.
Julia Elizabeth Sawiski.
Maria Rosario Fortuno.
Harmanpreet Kaur Gill.
Shanza Warrich.
Tennyson Aubrey Mobley.
Michaela Atkinson.
Alexander Patrick Faris.
Aga Mohammed Najmul Eshan.
Omar Landros.
Ronald Wayne Runquist.
Harley Crumpler.
Sonali Shailesh Patel.
Farooq Ayala Seron.
Michael Clayman Brown.
Haley Nicole Goff.
Eden Olivia Phillips.
William Scott Biggs.
Philip Alden Mullins.
Timothy Jonathan McKay.
Dylan Butler Best.
Holden Rice.
Blake Trevor Hunt.
Robert Joseph Cafaldo.
Alexis Mackenzie Williams.
Seth Franklin Harrington.
Larson Jenkins.
Calvin Lane Bunkalon.
Isa M. Schott.
Bridget Chidwa.
Taylor Victoria Clark.
Jada Britt Hoffman.
Arti Patel.
Viral Kava.
Jacob Brian Kamako.
Jesse Ayaman Boteng.
Ready for a break or are you good?
Gavin Shaw Thomas.
Madeline Bonsema Paris.
Lime Arthur Brown.
Kyla Rare Brown.
Connor Sill.
Blake Philly Williams.
Send him up. Yeah.
Matthew Joel Holick. Yeshmita Lennon.
Novida Lenin.
James Everett Littleton.
Isabel Lynn Pardell.
Jacob Joseph Segmiller.
Hunter Johnson.
T. Isabella Sorrells.
Emily Margaret Booth.
Daniel Jeffrey Blakeman.
Roman Hamilton Williams III.
April Nicole Godwin.
Trenton Alexander West.
Nicholas Michael Moston.
Jackson Talbot Zella.
Grant Davis.
8. Ken Gesmis.
Kerem Enes Egan.
Ryan Edward Walzer.
Rebecca Lindsay Silvoy.
Samuel Reed Fisher.
Madison Quinn Nomson.
Queen Anthony Dulles.
Jack Newmiller.
Catherine Isla Remo.
Yan Liu.
Putin Rene Tribet.
Madalena Elizabeth McGinnis.
Kylie Jane Simmons.
Ian Finbar McDonald.
Grigory Hayden Obak.
Nathan Donovan Finch.
Tyler D. Buchanan.
Bailey Elizabeth Shows.
Catherine Naole Freed.
Tristan Jenkins.
Andre Nicolescu.
Leah Tuweldi.
Asala M. Muhammad.
Pooja Kansagra.
Anastasia Vasilina.
Ekra Ahmed Mohammed.
Crystal Janelle Davis.
Naomi Garcia Perez.
Farhan Ahmad Abbasi.
Ryan Jensen.
Jacob Whitson McCollum.
Nicole Alexandra Nava.
Casey Recklin.
Wayne Darnell Artis.
Kyle Robert Smith.
Sarah Sinawi.
Robert E. Gonzalez.
Elizabeth Sands.
Emily Joy Bresset.
George Luis DeFranco Jr.
Grayson Harris Rim.
Ryan Alexander Pollard.
Jeffrey Keller Hobart.
William Howard Pruden.
Lane Page Budget.
Emily Bess Zerum.
Felicity Elizabeth Hobbs.
Caleb Carlton Goss.
Mark Daniel Whitehurst.
Wilson Reed McNeary.
Amanda Grace Jacobs.
I'm Denis Pelletier, Chair of the Department of Economics. On behalf of the faculty in the Department of Economics, congratulations to all of today's graduates. Faculty member Andy Noel will present the economics graduates. Will the students graduating with bachelor's degrees in economics please come forward?
It's up to you. It's all you.
Andrew Morrison.
Ian Daniel Wildblood.
Mayuri Dongray.
Oh. Rashali Jane. I'll take that.
Emily Brooke Deaton.
Matthew Aaron Harwood.
Jose Carlos Velarde Gainza.
Sydney Christine Ferguson.
Zachary Olson.
Lillian Chase Morrell.
Samuel Reed Tucker.
Lauren Elizabeth Key.
Jose Armando Garcia.
Nathan Michael LaFauci.
Kevin Dignan.
Logan Patrick Callahan.
Connor John Bain.
Benjamin Douglas Foster.
Harrison Clay Jones.
Livia Popa.
Charlie Castillo.
Miranda Olson.
Alexandra Rose Jones.
Adifi Orasu.
Gavin Whitaker.
Michael Thomas Kelly.
Jiashin Lee.
Ruopei Yu.
Ian Quinn Smith.
Evan Alexander Prochaska.
William Peyton Forrest.
Deanna Lynn Boosie Anderson.
Savannah Hope Boone.
Jessica Ray Beltrani.
Henry Tran Wynn.
Nayla Ortega.
Noah Philip Lee.
Jake Michael Kelly.
Ashley Nicole Johnson.
James Carson Eves.
Ewan Clark McPherson.
Madison Marbury.
Andrew O. Mayer.
Samantha Lynn West.
Destiny Gwynn.
Nandi Margaret Bryan.
Emily Marie Summers.
Connor Thomas Hogan.
Megan Marie Kando.
Jonathan Runyambo.
Congratulations to all our graduates. Once again, on behalf of the faculty and staff of the Poole College of Management, congratulations to all of today's graduates. Best wishes for the future, and have a terrific celebration today with your families. Students will be dismissed by usher. For our guests, you can meet your graduates at the main concourse after the recessional. Everyone, please join me in one more final round of applause to formally congratulate our Poole College of Graduate 2022 graduates. Hope you all have a great day, and go Pack!
See you on TV, sunset done changed. Ever since we was on, I dreamed it all. Ever since I was young, they said I would.